Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into something I think a lot of people run into. That feeling when you've worked so hard on healing something emotionally, but you just hit a wall.
Yeah, that final roadblock.
Exactly. So our mission today is to look at some sources focused on getting closure when, the usual processing just doesn't seem to finish the job.
Yeah.
And specifically, the role, maybe the surprising role, of physical action.
It's a really interesting angle.
And we're talking to you, the listener, who's probably been there. You've done the heavy lifting. You've sat with the difficult feelings. Maybe you've journaled. You've talked it out.
You've really tried to let the emotions move through you. You thought you did.
Right. You thought, okay, I've processed this.
Yeah.
But something still lingers.
Mm-hmm. And that's where it gets so frustrating, isn't it? Your mind feels like, okay, done.
Yeah.
But your body, it's sending a different signal. There's still that tightness maybe, or just a background hum of unease.
Residue.
Exactly. Our sources call it remnants or residue. And the key thing is it's often felt physically, even after you've really focused on letting go mentally.
It's like the body remembers, even if the mind feels resolved. That subtle tension or feeling. The mind's moved on, but the body's asking, hold on, are we really done here?
And that's the deadlock we're looking at. The source material we've dived into offers a solution that sounds, well, almost too simple at first.
Okay.
It suggests that when the purely mental or, static emotional work has kind of run its course, the final key might actually be physical movement, kinetic action.
Okay, let's definitely unpack that. But first, there's a really important condition here, right? The sources are pretty clear on this.
Oh, absolutely.
This isn't about skipping the hard emotional work. This isn't a shortcut.
No, not at all. That's crucial. This is specifically for the person who feels they've genuinely done that work. They've faced the grief, the anger, whatever it was.
They sat with it, allowed it.
Right. They allowed those waves of feeling to pass through. We're talking about what happens after that, when, despite all that effort, there are still these remnants of the emotion physically felt inside the body.
Physically felt. That's the part that jumps out. It's not just a nagging thought. It's, like you said, a tightness in the chest maybe, or a knot in the stomach.
Or the jaw clenching, stiffness in the shoulders.
Yeah.
The body is literally still holding on to some aspect of the experience.
So the mind thinks the story's over, but the body hasn't gotten the memo, basically. It hasn't received the signal to fully release.
Precisely. It's like processing only through thought or static feeling can sometimes leave bits stuck in the physical structure. The body hasn't completed its part of the release process.
Which leads to the solution you mentioned. If the block is physical, maybe the release needs to be physical too. But I admit, I raised an eyebrow when I saw the specific suggestion in the source. Jumping in place.
Huh. Yeah, it sounds a bit basic, doesn't it?
Or like something you'd do to distract a kid. How is jumping fundamentally different from, say, just going for a walk or doing some stretches? Isn't that movement too?
That's a great question because it highlights the type of movement the source points to. It talks about self-motion, but it stresses moving the body and specifically moving the area where the emotion feels stuck.
Ah, okay. So it's targeted.
Yes. If you feel that residue in your gut, the movement needs to engage your core. If it's in your shoulders, you need movement there. And jumping or even shaking is different from a walk.
How so?
Well, walking can be quite rhythmic, even passive sometimes. Your mind can wander. Stretching is often slow and controlled. Jumping or vigorous shaking introduces a kind of non-linear energetic disruption. It's active.
So it's less about gentle movement and more about shaking things loose, like literally jolting the system a bit.
That's a good way to put it. You're breaking the physical inertia. The body has been relatively still during all that thinking and feeling, right? It's settled. This dynamic movement acts as a physical catalyst.
Like shaking a snow globe to get everything moving again after it's settled.
Exactly. Inertia is what keeps those last bits stuck. The focused, energetic movement creates the necessary internal motion to help things finally release. It's using a physical act to unlock what the mental work couldn't quite reach on its own.
Okay, that makes more sense than just, random jumping. It's intentional disruption.
Great. But then we get to what the movement actually does. And this, I think, is where it gets really fascinating. It's not just about relief, it's about discovery.
Discovery, what do you mean?
Well, the source explains that this kinetic action helps to reveal what it calls fragments of emotions. The specific word used is eka.
Sounds like shards or splinters.
Exactly like that. Fragments, shards, these are components of the emotion or related emotions that the body just couldn't access or process during the static phase.
So when you were just sitting and feeling, you dealt with the main bulk, but these little sharp pieces, they just stayed lodged.
That's the idea. They were stuck deep down, maybe because the body was physically still, holding them in place. The movement, the jumping, the shaking acts like a little tremor.
An emotional earthquake.
Yeah. It dislodges those fragments, shakes them loose from wherever they were stuck in the body's holding pattern.
Allowing you to actually feel them now.
Right. Feel them and therefore finally process them completely. And this connects to another really powerful point the sources make.
Okay.
It says that once you start this dynamic movement, focusing on that area of residue, very often other and different forms of emotions start to surface.
Other emotions, like not just more the same sadness or anger you thought you were dealing with.
Exactly. Abhayakata is the phrase other in different forms. You might start jumping to release that last bit of frustration, and suddenly you're hit with a wave of unexpected grief, or maybe deep-seated fear, or even resentment you didn't realize was connected.
Wow. Okay, so the emotion you thought was the main issue was maybe just the top layer.
It could be, like layers of sediment. The initial processing dealt with the surface layer, the most obvious feeling. But the movement breaks through that.
And reveals what was hidden underneath.
Yes. Emotions that, as the source puts it, we didn't allow ourselves to see before. Perhaps because they were tangled up beneath the primary emotion we were focused on. Maybe the sadness felt safer or more acceptable than the anger hidden below it.
So the movement bypasses the mental filter somehow.
It seems to. Because it's a physical disruption, it doesn't rely on our conscious analysis, which might be protecting us from those deeper, perhaps more difficult feelings. It just shakes them out.
That really flips the script on how we think about emotional release, doesn't it? We focus so much on the mental effort, the understanding.
Well, assuming the body is just sort of along for the ride.
Right. When actually, it might hold the key to unlocking those deeper layers that pure thought can't touch. You didn't just need to think harder. Maybe you needed to move.
It suggests the body isn't just a container, but an active participant, even a co-creator, in the whole processing journey. Which brings us neatly to the practical advice.
The final prescription, yeah. So for you listening, if you've done the work, you've felt things through, but there's still that nagging physical sensation, that feeling of incompletion.
Yeah.
What does the source say to do?
It boils down to two possibilities, really.
Okay.
First, sometimes you genuinely just need more time. Healing isn't always linear. Integration takes time. Patience is sometimes the answer. That's important to acknowledge.
Sure. Can't rush everything.
But the second path, building on all this, is action. If time has passed and that physical residue is still there, the advice is simple. You need to introduce more movement into that place.
Into the specific place you feel it in your body.
Exactly. Instead of going back over the same mental ground, try the physical approach. Introduce that dynamic, targeted movement, shaking, jumping, whatever feels right, to engage that area to dislodge those final fragments.
It's such a clear, actionable step. Instead of analyzing more, move more. It gives you something concrete to try when you feel stuck. I have to say, I feel a bit called out myself, thinking about how much processing I try to do just sitting still.
Me too. It really underscores that body-emotion connection, doesn't it? Movement isn't just for fitness or distraction. It can be a crucial tool for completing deep emotional work, for actually accessing feelings that were previously locked away.
It shifts the focus from purely mental effort to incorporating the body's wisdom and its need for kinetic release.
Beautifully put.
Which leads us to a final thought, something for you to mull over. If this simple idea, dynamic movement, can unlock these emotional fragments, that even dedicated internal work couldn't reach, just consider the potential scale of what might be held physically within us, built up over years maybe, of processing things primarily while sitting still. What might emerge if, the next time you feel that stubborn emotional residue, that physical tightness, you actually try introducing some focused, maybe even slightly vigorous movement to that area? What might you discover?
Something powerful to consider.
Indeed. Thank you for diving deep with us today.
We'll see you on the next Dip Dive.